And there was a period of time where you were kind of, I don't know, you describe it as like being looking for external recognition or really playing a lot of roles in the external world. Would you say, in those times that you were, lost or always on this quest, like you had that experience, right, of kind of like being identified with the external world. How did you come back from that?
My advent into the world of prominence, and I guess that was the question that's presented. So, what happened and how did I get out?
Yeah.
Well, the interesting part is I actually got into the prominent world. It really started first when I reached Atlanta. I went from LA to Atlanta, kind of got tired of just trying to get a better job and, working in the computer field. And I just felt like I needed more integration in society as a whole. And LA was very cliquish. It was like if you didn't know anybody, if you weren't connected to certain people, then you really weren't going to benefit from the things that, you could benefit from in LA. So what happened is that I ended up going to Atlanta and I started this whole thing with just, making money, like the entrepreneur thing. And I was really good at it. Like I would just analyze what other people were working on. And then I would enhance that with my extra abilities. And then I'd come out with a really decent working model. So I started in real estate and then I ultimately went into exotic rent-a-cars. And that's what it started allowing me to be around, let's say, some of the more prominent or well-known people in the physical reality. But the whole reason why I was progressing in that direction is because somehow I had gotten it in my mind that since the standard person and even quote unquote spiritual people, pastors, imams, etc., didn't seem to understand much about what was going on in the reality on the spiritual level, surprisingly to me. Like it would be very redundant when I would have conversations with them about certain things. So somehow I felt that famous people had somehow figured something out and that they were holding some kind of secret. And that's what brought about their fame. And that if I could get one of these people into a room or start being around them, then I would discover their secret. And I can remember getting to a point where I was actually in the room with Patti LaBelle, Prince, and a few other people that were very prominent in the music industry. And just by what was going on in that room, because it was like a massive party, and it was like 2 a.m, and I started managing like these huge parties and things that were going on. And I realized right at that moment that these people didn't know nowhere near what I knew. And I think depression really ensued after that. It was almost like a night and day thing. That from that time on, I was like, okay, nobody knows.
Even Prince.
Even Prince, right? Yeah, like he wasn't trying to have that conversation. So it really, again, it because this was like something I had set up for about 4 or 5 years as a pursuit. That hey, because I think we all do this in one way or another. We feel like maybe it's the next thing we're going to receive in the mail. Maybe it's the next person we're going to listen to. But when we're looking for a breakthrough, we kind of hinge it all on something, and it gives us a lot of hope and belief to keep going on. A lot of this is done psychologically, but when you're a stickler for detail, you can also see this going on in your mind, that you kind of hinge your next great plateau to something that's supposed to happen to create that. So for me, it was getting into this inner circle of famous people and then getting them to tell me the secret about fame, which I felt was tied into the mystery of why we died and then the overall mystery of Earth. And when that didn't happen, again, I was really taken aback. I went into a phase where it was like a blur for me. I became very numb. And this was because the money didn't stop. It kept rolling in. And I just didn't find really that much more purpose in life for a while. I just was kind of drifting. Again, the money was coming in. So the way everybody was looking at it, it's like, man, you got these penthouse, you got these cars, everybody wants you here, wants you there. Man, you got this amazing life. And that's how they always thought what was going on internally. And I'm just always really good also at just monitoring people and keeping the status that they believe that everything is supposed to be at so that they'll be okay. Because I was always serving as this foundation for people to lean on. Like if you needed money or if you needed some help or maybe your father died or whatever, I was the guy that you would call. And so I had this lifestyle that was, let's say, going at 1,000 miles an hour, but I didn't have the same personality. I was really like the fly on the wall. I was the guy that was talking to the people washing the cars and, that kind of thing. So for me, it was really an abrupt scenario that happened that pulled me away from that. And I can say for sure, if that scenario had not happened, I'd still be there. And it was because I had accumulated so much baggage in the physical world, which is the popularity, the dependencies, the companies, the assets. I had accumulated so many of those things that they had bound me. And this is like more about what my recent message is about possession in your own possessions. And so to lose any of that or to see one of the companies go and all that would actually indicate somewhat of a sense of failure for me. So I made sure I maintained this previous lifestyle very strongly until the abrupt awakening happened.